Just a quick spoiler alert before you start the video.
Hi guys, so this is a bit different from what I usually do on this channel, but today I'm going to be discussing which of the 3 Hobbit movies was the best. Now, this might be a bit late considering the last Hobbit movie came out like... I'll be right back. Yeah, so it came out 9 months ago. Cut the scene with me using the calculator L, please, because like people think I'm smart. Yeah, fine. So, while I just recently saw Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies, and you know, I actually thought it was okay, and just like the other Hobbit movies, I didn't think they were terrible. They definitely didn't suck. They were like okay. They were terrible compared to Lord of the Rings, which was an amazing trilogy, but honestly, they weren't that bad. So, but each movie did have some good moments and some bad moments. Today I'm going to be breaking those down. Alright, let's get started.
The first movie we'll be discussing is Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, the first movie in the trilogy. So, let's talk about the good side first. So, this movie had one of the best scenes in the entire trilogy, which is the riddle scene with Bilbo and Gollum in the cave. And the scene, first of all, it's faithful to the book, so it's a good adaptation. And Gollum's reactions and the acting by Andy Serkis is really good too. This scene was really entertaining, and it was relatively fast-paced, and there's a lot of suspense, like a lot of suspense. This scene had, in my opinion, the most suspense of any scene in the movie, especially since I haven't read Hobbit in a while, and I forgot how this one turned out. However, the rest of the movie is really slow, unlike this one scene, so that brings us to the bad. Now, first off, this scene with them like in the slapstick action after they get captured by those goblin guys and the big fat king, this scene was the worst in the trilogy in my opinion. First of all, the action, even though I guess it was well done, CGI and stuff, it just didn't feel real. Like, even if the actors like they used more prosthetics and less CGI, in my opinion, it honestly would have been better. And if there was less, physics-defying stuff, them jumping around during their escape, and that's kind of a shame, because really right after this scene is like the riddle scene, which I told you like was one of the best scenes in the movie, and this scene could have been better. It could have had more suspense, and they definitely didn't need all like the unrealistic physics-defying action. I mean, seriously, look at this stuff. It looks like it's either from a video game or like a little kid cartoon. I mean it's so unrealistic that it actually takes you out of the movie. Like, it's not even cool. That for me is a terrible thing in an action sequence. I mean, I rarely say this for any movie ever, but this movie actually could have been better if it had been more serious and less, lighthearted little kid fun. I mean, look at this stuff. And another really terrible part of this movie was the intro. I mean, it was so slow, I almost fell asleep, and I'm really easily entertained. I mean, like, okay, the dwarf's intro thing was kind of cute, but it took way too long. I mean, the first 10 minutes of this, it was alright, it was pretty entertaining, but then they started singing songs, and it just dragged on for way too long. This is another scene that, in my opinion, would have been a lot better if it was one shorter, and either shorter or like mostly cut out, and also more serious, and definitely without the songs. Now, the next movie on this list that I'll be talking about is Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug. Now, let's talk about the good things first. One of the best parts of this movie is that it has, in my opinion, the best dragon ever seen in a movie. Yeah, Smaug is, first of all, the reveal of Smaug is just really amazing. Like, he is so epic and big, and I feel like they set him up really well too. So like, in Lake Town, everyone's talking about how Smaug is so amazing and how, he destroyed their city last time, and how he can only be stopped by a black arrow. And then Bilbo finds out that he actually did get hit by a black arrow, and it didn't stop him, and that just makes him so amazing, and I think he's the best part of this trilogy. Not to mention the effects work on him, and the voice acting by Benedict Cumberbatch is really great too. Now, another good part of this movie, and a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me on this, is Legolas. I mean, yeah, it's not faithful to the book, because in the book he doesn't have nearly as big a role, like he's barely mentioned, but in the movie, first of all, he's a total badass. He's like my favorite character from the Middle-earth universe, as well as the fact that he, unlike some of the other additions and changes they made to the book, doesn't feel completely shoehorned in. Like, you know, it would make sense. His dad's there, like all these elves are here. He should be there too, right? I mean, he's like the main elf. So I feel like Legolas really actually does make the movie better. Speaking of elves, that brings me to our first bad point. It's Tario, the female elf sidekick to Legolas. Now, first of all, she wasn't in the book at all. And second of all, she really feels shoehorned in. Like, she's just there to give Philly and Legolas love interest and make this love triangle thing and add maybe a little bit of drama. But first of all, that didn't work at all. The love story, like, really wasn't believable. Not every movie has to have a love story. I mean, I know Lord of the Rings had one with like Aragorn and that elf girl, but this one really doesn't have to. And in this scene also, like, there was a Gimli gimmick too, like Gimli's dad's there, and that too feels really forced. Like, to me, it feels like they're just trying to make all the, you know, fanboys squeal, like, oh my god, Gimli, I know that guy, he's in Lord of the Rings. But first of all, in Lord of the Rings, the first one, it seems like, you know, Legolas doesn't know Gimli beforehand. So, assuming he has good memory, and this is like 60 years ago, but he should know who Gimli is then, if this is canon. So it makes a lot of problems and really doesn't help the movie. And the barrow escape scene was just ridiculous. Again, it's like the goblin scene from the first movie. It felt like it was out of a video game or a cartoon, and it also made the goblins seem really incompetent, which wasn't that much of a problem in Lord of the Rings, and seems to be like a recurring thing in the Hobbit movies, where all the enemies just seem like really useless. Now let's talk about Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. Now first, let's talk about the good things. First off, the tragic moments in this movie, like when Thorin dies, are actually pretty tragic. Like, they made me pretty sad, because maybe it's because of all the hours we've had to endure with these characters, but when they died, like, I felt genuinely sad. Like, it was almost at the level of like Lord of the Rings final movie sad, like, you know, when Thorin dies, when Killy dies, etc. First off, the battle scene, while ridiculously long, is actually really great. I mean, the scene where all the elves jump over the phalanx wall of dwarves is really amazing. And it just goes to show that no one can make a fantasy battle scene better than Peter Jackson. In fact, I'd say this battle scene is almost as good as, or even on par with, Lord of the Ring battle scenes. I mean, look at this scene, it's so cool. However, this movie had some shortcomings too, most notably the fact that they set up Smaug's like big battle scene so well, with 2 whole movies just dedicated to that, and then he dies like a chump in 5 minutes. I mean, seriously. He just gets killed by Bard, who again doesn't even have much character development, and like, we don't really care about him. I mean, yeah, he did burn the city, and I guess it was pretty cool, but it was just so short, and it was at the beginning of the movie, so it's completely undermined by, you know, the big battle at the end. Not to mention that Smaug is a complete idiot in this movie. He has so many opportunities to kill Bard, it's not even funny. I mean, first off, the tower part, like, he could have just burned the tower. Second of all, look, he sees the black arrow. I mean, he can either, you know, fly away or just burn Bard, but instead he chooses to slowly walk towards the tower and make himself a big target. I mean, he deserves to die. That was some terrible villaining by Smaug. For me, another dumb part is when the Eagles came in and saved the day again. I mean, just once, I would like to see the heroes of Middle-earth solve their own problems without some OP, like, unkillable force coming in and helping them. Not to mention the fact that the Eagles shouldn't even be this overpowered. I mean, look, those guys with spears, and the Eagles have no armor. They should be at least killing a few of the Eagles. And I really think the battle part would have been better if they didn't have, you know, these big Eagles come in and save the day. Like, if they won just through hard work and like tactics and stuff, I think it would have been better than if another OP army just came in and helped them, like Return of the King with the Ghost Army.
It's time to pick which Hobbit movie I thought was the best, and the award goes to, drumroll please, The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. Now let me explain my reasoning for this. First of all, it had a battle scene that didn't look like it was designed for little kids. I mean, it was serious, it was well thought out, it was actually pretty realistic, like, compared to actual battlefield tactics. Not to mention the fact that, you know, there was tragic moments, there was parts where I was actually a little bit sad, unlike the rest of the movies, which were just really hollow. Alright, that's my reasoning for which Hobbit movie was the best. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Well, if you agree with me, feel free to tell me in the comments, and if you don't agree with me, then leave! Immediately. Nah, I'm just kidding, you can tell me in the comments too, I'll just ignore you.
Just thought I'd let you guys know that since this video took a long time and a lot of editing to make, and I'm going back to school now, so I probably won't have time to make that many more videos. So expect, you know, these days I've been making like videos once a day, But now I'll probably be making them once a week, once every 2 weeks, so just letting you guys know. Bye!